Speaking of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about Philadelphia.
Yeah, we will. Bryan Braman's with us. He was in this game last year.
We miss you, brother.
I see that nice
it.
piece of jewelry.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. It's been weighing me down a little bit.
I would imagine so. That thing caught my eye instantaneously.
Look at that sucker.
Yeah.
So nice.
Look at that with
When
the
you
big bird right there in
You
the
have to get
front.
some pictures with that baby.
Now, I'm not going to ask you about moment. I mean, clearly everything, winning the Super Bowl is all. You're in this game to get paid and win the Super Bowl, or maybe win the Super Bowl and get paid. Like, those two things aside. But do you remember the last time you felt anywhere close to how you felt when you bought a piece of jewelry or got a piece of jewelry like that ring?
I've never actually bought a piece of jewelry, so
I like that.
Well, you got some floss on you. You look pretty good.
yeah, I mean, this little H&M, $2.99 when you buy a shirt with it, It's like, that's kind of how it goes. And this is actually
That made my day.
this is like post ring, so I'm trying to, the jewelry thing is new to me. I'm
Right.
trying to work it out, and I figured H&M was a good place to start at the checkout counter.
I love it.
Made my day.
So this is a new phase for you.
Yeah,
now.
man. Yeah,
Jewelry and flossing and everything.
Hey, look, I just went to the
Wow.
gas station last night to fill up the rental car, and they had a little display case.
Maybe your Uber driver took him there.
Probably.
Some
Yeah.
3-carat cubic zirconians for $2.99.
Can we ask Bryan about that, though? Because
By the way, once again, Bryan Braman's with us. We played with the Eagles last year in Super Bowl 52.
That's right.
He's got the jewelry to prove that he was there. And what an a year ago we were doing this in the food court, by the way. This whole thing last year was in the food court at the Mall of America. You were probably walking around that mall last year. They had this in the mall. It was nuts.
I mean, that mall was nuts.
It was crazy.
I've never been.
What's the purpose of that? I mean, they had
Well,
a
you're in
roller
Minnesota.
coaster.
They got nothing else to do.
Right.
How many
was it.
H&Ms can you fit in that mall?
And it's too cold to do anything else. I remember how cold
this
it was.
year,
Dude, it was bad.
It's like negative 50 right now.
In Minnesota,
In
right?
Minnesota, yeah.
That is
It's actually, they
miserable.
say it's colder here and there than it is in Antarctica.
Unbelievable.
It is miserable.
We were talking about this before you just popped on. We both had different Lyft Uber experiences today. And you're a man, you've traveled. I'm sure you've been in an Uber or Lyft before.
Oh, yeah.
Today, and it was no knock on the guy. He's a nice kid. He moved down to Atlanta to act. But he just moved down to Atlanta, like last week down to Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
So he didn't have any idea where he was going. I didn't have any idea where I was going. It's the first time I've ever been in the city. And we're trying to get to some place from point A to point B, and it's the blind leading the blind. So Mike is anti. He doesn't like this. But I think there should be some sort of vetting process. Listen,
You move to a new city, you can't find a job. That's a job you can get, and it has a GPS. It tells you where to turn.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah,
The GPS is. I mean, I've heard that the Uber system GPS is kind of
Hold on a second.
a little quirky,
Hold
huh?
on, wait.
Uh-huh.
So, do you know the new Uber app? They can text back and forth with you on the app.
Right.
Not like your text. He's like, "Where are you?" I'm in a blue dart. I'm like, "I'm standing right here." He's like, "You're in the wrong area. Walk to your left."
Okay.
Through the app.
Yeah.
That's my point, is if you have somebody who has just moved from Hopkinsville, Kentucky,
come on.
he doesn't know where the hell that entrance is.
Right.
That's all. Just a little vetting
Right,
process.
Then he can call you.
And sometimes, I mean, I can imagine that, because I've had a problem with dropping pins where the address isn't exactly
Yes.
where the front door is. But I mean, there's ways around it. I feel like that's what app developers are there for. They got all the guys sitting behind the computers writing the code and make sure that people can drop the pin where they're standing.
Right.
The GPS marking and share like people are so worried about their battery dying that they don't want to allow location services to use the app unless they're actually using the app. You're not allowed to use it in the background. So
Is that not a
there's all kind of
perfect
stuff.
statement for our society, that we walk around all day with our battery on 5%,
Oh, man.
just trying to avoid going on apps that we need?
to save battery life.
Right, exactly.
To save battery life.
So last year at this time, you're getting ready for this game.
Yeah.
And is it surreal that that much time has passed? Because it's surreal to me as a guy who covered that game. Like, I can't believe it's been a year since that all went down.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of unreal. It's still kind of a dream to me. It's still, I wake up in the morning and, the ring on my pillow next to me. I'm still kind of surprised that I can actually wake up with it every day. You spend so much time, 18, 19 years as a kid. You put 12, 13, 15 years in, through grade school, Pop Warner into middle school and high school. You're paying, blood, sweat, and tears invest in all this time and energy into it. You go to college, and it's all a dream that's just in the distant future that you never realize or feel like is ever going to get there, or the time can't go by fast enough. And then when you're there, you're looking back at it, and it's like, man, 7 years in the league has already gone by. I've already had a ring for a year. It seems like just yesterday we were playing in the game, and we were walking around the Mall of America, as the team that was playing in the game, rather than just players that were kind of in the area to do the interviews, or spend time at Radio Row, or just being in the city for whatever reason that you would have as a player.
What do you remember about that week? Like anything, or was it just like the preparation? Is it like a blank remembrance, or you like some people like vividly remember things, or some people just don't remember anything?
I remember a lot of it, actually. I spent a lot of time. I think it was because it was so surreal to me that it seemed like everything that I looked at or everything that I did, I would study and try to log into my long-term memory as soon as possible, so that way I could have those memories for the rest of my life. And obviously I was able to share it with some close family members, people that I felt were very important and played a huge part in getting me there, to make sure that they were able to share the experience with me, because what's the point of having a beach if you don't have anybody to share it with?
I'm laughing because it was last year, and of all places, and you're no stranger to the cold,
Right.
Washington State,
Right?
But it's probably like the coldest place you could have a Super Bowl, and you have them in Miami, New Orleans. Did you feel a little robbed? Like, come on, man, we're in the Super Bowl. We get to have this whole thing, and here we are, an underground city in Minnesota.
The two Eagles Super Bowls, Jacksonville and Minnesota.
Seriously, what the hell did we do to the football guys?
Yeah. I really only felt that way when I walked outside. My face would freeze.
It was cold.
I mean, your breath would turn to icicles.
Who bitched about the cold the most on the team last year? You can out them now. It's fine. It's just Philadelphia listening.
It's
nonstop. Bryan, it's cold.
It's usually just the southern guys, the guys that are used to the warm weather. Guys that are used to being, in the humid, just sticky heat, because I can't put my finger on one guy more than the other, but I know I was complaining about it a lot.
Listen, if you're from the Pacific Northwest complaining about the cold, something's wrong. It's cold.
I mean, like you were saying, you as a Super Bowl experience, you'd want to be able to walk around in a tank top, work on your tan, make sure that you were shiny when you got out there on the field, instead of face masks because your nose would fall off.
So where were you standing? I call it the most important play in the history of the franchise, when Brandon Graham gets the strip sack. So you remember what you were doing,
I was on the line of scrimmage, to the sideline on the line of scrimmage, watching,
right down.
Yes, watching Brandon Graham come off of the ball. I mean, it was huge. It was big time. I couldn't believe it. Obviously playing the same position as Brandon Graham, being a down-the-line guy on the roster, it's important for you to be involved in the game, understanding the situation and everything, hearing the defensive play call, knowing the situation. They're obviously passing the ball. They need to make up ground. The time that was left on the clock, oh, my goodness, seeing him come off the ball, and watching him for 4 years, just every day, one-on-ones, him coming off the ball, the way he hit the corner. I mean, it was unreal.
That's got to be unbelievable.
Yeah, and I agree that moment itself. What was not the football conversation, like strategy that you might have, and I know it's tough, bang, bang, before Brady and the offense take the field, but what's the emotional conversation like with you, the rest of the guys on D, knowing that, hey, if we don't stop this guy of all people, that's it?
Yeah. I mean, guy of all people.
I'm pretty sure everybody in the locker room knows exactly how my conversation would have been. It probably would have been to disembowel them, or just
something you can't say right now.
Destroy anything that gets in the way. And that's just that's the passion that I have for the game and everything that I've ever put into it. So guys like Malcolm Jenkins probably would have had something that was a little more cerebral to say rather than just bang, bang, crush him in the face kind of thing.
Sometimes that works, though, bang, bang, crush him in the face. Right?
It's worked for me.
Have you ever been – that's a great point. Nobody's going to argue with that. It looked like on the outside and just from people that are covering the team, but you always know that there are so many moments in which the media is forced out of the locker room and you have locker room type moments. I don't know if you've ever been around a team that gave off the sense of confidence that your squad last year and the Eagles did. It just seemed like no matter what was going on. I mean, Carson Wentz goes down, and 3 days later, it's like, okay, next man up. And this is the fan. You know Philadelphia. For fans to be like next man up, it's like they were lobotomized or something, like they completely removed from their bodies.
Right. Out-of-body experience is exactly what I'm talking about.
But have you ever dealt with that level of confidence?
Man. Not from Philly fans, because I'll tell you what,
that's real.
If you're not winning by 50, they're still booing you.
That's real.
If they don't feel like you've been able to play at the level that they expect you to play at, which is unbelievable. Because as a organization, you want your fans to have that expectation for you, because that's what you have for yourself. That's what you want to see from everybody that goes out there and really invests their time with you. You want to know that somebody's standing next to you that's willing to put that blood, sweat, and tears into, their work and their passion just as much as you are. And that's what causes us to get so close as a locker room, is because, we're out there doing it. And as much the big part about being a professional is being able to wake up on the days that you don't want to do what you love and still do it. Like, knowing that the man next to you, his body is aching, he's hurting, but he still loves the game enough that he is out there doing what he loves to do, even if he doesn't actually feel like doing it at that moment.
Well I want to get you out on this one.
I got to sneak one in.
Okay.
Can I sneak one in before you end it?
Well, we could get one in.
Well, no, but if you have a big, interesting
Did you
question.
watch the Eagle-Saints game?
Yes.
So as a guy who thrived on special teams, that fake punt, did you see it come in? Like, are you watching the game saying, I feel like you have that sense of when you specialize in that, like you were a special teams ace, man. That's what, like, you were excellent at. Did you sense they're faking this?
Well, I think everybody did, and that's why they had defense out there on the field. There's definitely situational football. Phipp is a great coordinator, one of the best in the game, definitely the best coordinator that I've ever had on special teams. I die for the guy, and I know for a fact that man was prepared, and he did everything in his power to make sure that team was in the position that they needed to be in order to stop something like that. And, it's any given Sunday when you're out there on that field, it's the best against the best. And, they get a paycheck just like we get a paycheck. That's something that they tell you. And they're out there trying to earn their paycheck just like you are. So
it's not they didn't know it. They just –
no, they were prepared.
The Saints executed
the defense stay. They had defense stay out there. Obviously, the defensive players, they were in a defense-minded, play is what I would say. Obviously, the linebackers and the D-line knew that they had certain gaps and contained. Linebackers knew that they had to fill certain gaps, and they had coverage of different wings, the up back, the PP and stuff like that would be there in order if the play broke out and the punter went to go throw something, the corners knew that they were covering for the gunners that were out there in case they went out on a route and stuff. So I think it was just on that play the New Orleans Saints was better. And that's the name of the game. It wasn't that we weren't prepared or that we didn't know that it was coming, because I know that Phipp wouldn't allow that to happen. And from what I saw, defense was out there and he was prepared for it. The entire defense knew that it could have been a possibility, and that's why we were in that position.
Yeah, it sucks, especially I'd rather that than the opposite, which is, hey man, these guys had no idea what the hell was coming.
Not being prepared.
Real quick, do you remember the hardest hit you ever delivered, and what did you say? Practice, game, whatever it may be, the hardest you ever hit somebody, and what did you say to that person after you put him on his back?
I actually felt very terrible. He ended up getting carted off of the field.
Is that right?
It was when I was in Houston. It was a play where I hit the wedge, and it was an offensive lineman.
Couldn't even do that anymore, right?
No, they banned it.
And he actually went to sleep. He went face down. He was laying on his hands, his feet were crossed, and it was like a 10-15 minute delay of the game.
My goodness.
Where they had to bring the cart out and they carted him off. And I'm pretty sure, I can't remember what his name was, but I'm pretty sure he never played another down of football again.
My goodness.
And, obviously as a player, you don't ever wish that upon anybody. But
you have to play the game to deliver those hits.
Yeah, it is a bang-bang play. And I believe that's a lot of the reason why they're trying to transition away from the special teams phase of the game. Unfortunately, it takes a paycheck away from me, but I understand where people are coming from and the safety of players, and obviously not just the quality of life now, but the quality of life when they're 50, 60 years old and they have to deal with the injuries and everything that they incur during the game.
Bryan Braman, undrafted Super Bowl champion. Never
man.
take that away from him. Never.
Nope.
It's crazy.
Pleasure to have you, man.
See you on the
Thank
field
you.
this year.
I appreciate
you. I got to get a picture with that ring.
We'll see you on the field this year, right?
Hey, you know what? I'm always working for it.
We're rooting for you, brother.
Always working for it. This last year as a free agent didn't work out, but that's the name of the game. And the best part is there's always tomorrow and the next year up. Right. So we'll see. Hopefully they don't think I'm too old. Look at me as
you look good.
No,
hey,
keep rocking that jewelry.
I'll let them know. Hey, are you ready to play? Hey, if you need to bring somebody in and run through somebody's face, I'm your guy.
Love it.